What if I told you the way it has always been done is not the best way? Facing your fears will change your life. The passion behind this journey is merging two separate worlds into one with the goal of creating value and awareness for a better life.
I'd rather be sidelined trying to achieve greatness than watch greatness achieved and it only set on the sideline. Now introducing your host, Jacob Emery.
This episode is brought to you by R&R Pipeline, an infrastructure company. Our purpose? Enhancing America's infrastructure with a safety-driven, integrity-led culture that provides an environment for team members to grow and thrive. Welcome to another edition of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast. Today, we have on Mr. Brian Elder, and I want to dive right into the transformation. So everyone look at Brian Elder. This sexy beast of a human has made a transition here lately, made a decision to commit to consistency, discipline, establish daily habits, and overcame some obstacles that had been challenging him for a while. So Brian graduated high school in 2004, played basketball in high school, then went to Denison, played 4 years of ball in college. And he's very humble about it, but I'm going to say that he was a pretty badass athlete, even though he probably won't acknowledge that. Brian is a good friend of mine, a complete total goofball, and as authentic and good-hearted as you're ever going to find a human being. So, Brian, I want to start out by this transformation, man. The last time I seen you, you came up to me. You came to my office once, and you're like, I heard you talking, didn't even know it was you. I think I was on the phone or I was in a meeting, coming over to another meeting with my business partner, Cody, and you were talking to him, and I seen you for the first time in a while. I'm like, holy shit, Brian, you look good. And I knew you were different, but not just the physical component, because of how you had conviction in your eye that I'd never seen before. And I knew you were in. And it was really awesome to see that. And you said, I've been listening to your stuff. It's really been motivating me. And I said, fuck your motivation. Talk to me about it when it's hard. Discipline is the driving force. Yeah. But let's talk about what led you to committing to making a change, and how did that all come about? It's been a while since we had really talked. Yeah. So where did this all start from?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Thanks for having me on, first and foremost. Yeah. I think hopefully they're listening on audio, because the introduction of me being sexy on the camera is going to lose a lot of listeners right off the bat there. But I do try to be authentic. I do try to be a goofball, probably too much, and I do appreciate our relationship and everything you've helped me with. So let me just start the transformation. Hopefully it's ongoing and just starting, but it started, I've always kind of played sports, and I was okay. I wasn't great. I'm not trying to be humble. I'm just trying to be honest, but I loved it, so I just kept going, and I was fortunate enough to have some opportunities. But it was the lifting. We were always running, always lifting. I like to compete, but the lifting when I went in high school and in college was just like, let's get through it. Let's do the 3 sets of 10. Let me just see if I can get through this. It kept me healthy. It probably kept me in shape, but I was never in peak shape. Younger, metabolism, all that stuff. Graduated college, started at a bank. I sat behind a desk in a chair in front of a computer all day, every day, and I continued to eat and drink Mountain Dew and beer and eat the bad stuff, unhealthy things, and I didn't run 6 days a week, and I didn't lift 3 or 4 days a week. So I immediately ballooned to like 310 pounds. I knew Corey Gregory, who you're really good friends with, business partners, max effort, old school gym, and he gave me kind of a workout. Helped me out. I got so bad at one point, Jake. I had a friend who was into kind of health and working out, just kind of what you do maybe with some people in your industry and your network is, hey, you want to start? Why don't you just do 10 push-ups, 10 body weight squats, and 10, 25 sit-ups or something like that. Maybe it was 10, 10, and 10. And I remember being in my kitchen trying to do 10 body squats, and like the 6th or 7th one, my hamstring like popped, or I was like, this is embarrassing. That's how bad it was. Body weight squats, no foundational strength. I know you talk a lot about on the podcast. And so Corey, I just kind of hit it hard. And for the first time in my life, this would have been winter 2017, 2018, right before spring break, our family, we went to Disney. I hit 255. And then I was like, okay, it took a lot of mindset, willpower, and I've just been kind of hovering, just kind of, 265, 275, 260 range back and forth, water weight, a lot of it probably. And then something just happened over Memorial Day weekend. I saw your iron infrastructure post on LinkedIn. I've known you through the community, through the bank, through different things, and I was like, I'm gonna start listening to this. And you had, Corey Gregory, you had Andrew Guansel, the other, I'm like, this is my jam. These are my people. And then I couldn't get enough. The transformations you mentioned, that Josh Akers, you mentioned. So I just started listening. I started doing lunges every day. I kind of said, hey, I don't know what I want to weigh, what I want to look like, but I want to do something and create habits. I was getting up at 6 every day. I was doing a little bit of stuff, but nothing really transformational. Just once again, kind of enough to say I did it more than doing it, if that makes sense. And then Corey's like, you're like, hey, download the app, get the subscription, Corey G Fitness. So I finally did that after about a month of you and I texting. Don't know why I waited. And then now it's just, get up, busy diet. First thing was get up an hour earlier. So now I start at 5:30. Every 2 weeks I'm getting up. So I'm at 5:05. My plan is to get up at 4:59, here in the next couple weeks. I'm hitting the workout. I'm doing the treadmill and incline while I'm working on checking emails and getting stuff done. Sweating every morning, and it just makes me feel good, ready to start the day. And I feel like if you can get up and do that workout and create that habit, you're not going to lose in the day. You're going to, you find a way to be successful one way or the other. So I'm right about 250 on the scale this morning. I've been hovering around there for a month. Plateauing is not necessarily a bad thing. I don't know if my goal is to get less, but I want to continue to do it and try to look better.
Man, you touched on so many key, crucial things about just habit setting, goal setting, getting better every day. The hardest part is something that you've already conquered, and it's taking the first step, because the acknowledgement of, I did 7 squats and my hamstring popped, just to know that's where you're at. So many people will never commit to it because of that shame or embarrassment or fear of failing. But the ultimate failure isn't only getting to 7 squats, it's never getting to 7 squats and going further. And the first step is the hardest, because when you're faced with this reality, it's like looking at fear from a visual component, and it's super long, super deep. It's in front of you, this massive obstacle that seems almost unattainable. And chipping away at just the next day and the next hour, the next minute sometimes, is all that you need to accomplish. Like, don't worry so much about 10 years from now. Yeah. That part will come, but what can I do today to be a little bit better? What you're doing is incredibly powerful, and I hope everyone that's listening hears this. The 5 minutes more once a week, every week, 5 minutes more. Them incremental changes are the best way to do it, because if you try to go all in, I'm going to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to do this, you are not going to sustain it. Your body, mentally and physically, will shut down on you to some capacity, and it's not going to work, because it's a all-in motivational effort that doesn't establish the habit to give you the discipline you need to be consistent. Ultimately, motivation is the temporary thing that gets us to go, but the motivation is very temporary. Like I told you that day at the office, like, your motivation is going to come and go. How you feel is going to come and go. Most days you don't feel like doing it. Yeah. You just do it because you know how it makes you feel at the end. But waking up, embracing that hardship, first thing in the morning, you just have to make a choice. I'm not going to hit snooze. I'm going to get up. I'm going to do it. And when you get done, the satisfaction of that accomplishment first thing in the morning is unbelievable. And it doesn't matter how far in the journey that you are, because when you do it consistently every day, every week, every year, month after month after month, the habit is ultimately what drives the success. So like for you, you're earlier in the journey of the commitment component. It's got to be exciting because you have so much to look forward to. You're already, like, the weight goal that you wanted to establish, you've already hit. Yeah. So now it's about feeling good. It's about the next hurdle that is going to come, because adversity is always going to hit. And we were talking about injuries. Setbacks are inevitable.
Yeah.
Like, setbacks are just part of the story. The roller coaster has to go down to come up, and they're going to come, and it's how you react to it. Let's talk about that component, because you got 310 pounds. You're at this point in life, and the adversity was the thing that set you back. You never had that challenge before because you're always active and playing sports, and you got away with eating bad. So you never established the basic habits that you have now. How hard was it, though, to face that fear and recognize, man, this is going to suck, but I have to create a change?
Yeah, I think the hardest part is just doing it, like you said. The other times where I've started to work out or do a program or do this or that, I think you saying to me, forget your motivation. It's all about discipline. It kind of froze me. Like, I don't know if you remember, I was like, I walked out there and I just kind of sat in the car for a while because to your adversity, other times I've worked out or done something, if I didn't feel good, or if I had a runny nose or a headache, that was enough for me to just sleep in that day, not do it. And then that triggered, the downfall. Holidays, weekends, this Monday, Labor Day, first time in my adult life, I got up and worked out 5 a.m. I wasn't stopping because it was a holiday. Probably the first one I didn't drink because it was a Monday, because I
That's the complete separator too. It really is.
Yeah.
I commend you for that.
And those are the hardest things but those are the most fun things. When you can go, every time I got gas, I'd go in and get candy, and now I can go get gas and not get candy. But occasionally, like you said, you still do. If you can either, like you said, no one, I used to think hereditary. My dad's big, and he has never really put health first and foremost, and he's, I don't know, given up, but he's not trying now, and he's only getting older like all of us. But one of your podcasts I was listening to is like, people blame it on genes, and the hereditariness is only going to help you be 6'4", but it's not going to help you with anything else. No one has ever forced a piece of cake in my mouth in my adult life. So if you can be at the birthday party and only eat one slice versus before I'd eat 5, or not have any at all, those are the kind of willpower wins that I just didn't know existed. But then, I'll have a meeting at work once a month, and they'll end up bringing pizza, and then I end up having 5 slices. But those are the things where now it's like, all right, I woke up, I worked out, I'm going to hit it hard tomorrow. Maybe I get in the sauna, maybe I swim, I do something to try to make up for that versus always making up for it.
So that when you eat it, you're aware of it. And I think that's the big thing where, I have pizza probably once a week, every other week now. Don't think twice about it. I don't track anymore. I just know what I can and can't eat, and what makes me feel good and what fuels me to perform well and what doesn't. So I consciously know if I'm eating something, what the outcome more than likely is going to be. And that's just part of the evolution. And like you said, with the 5 birthday, the pieces of cake and having one, I think the real true superpower is to be able to have a couple bites or have one piece and stop. Because just eliminating it completely is okay. But a lot of time that's out of like fear or giving in to having more or binging, where, dude, I grew up on cinnamon rolls. My nickname was the Doughboy when I was a kid.
I've heard you say that. It's unbelievable.
The Doughboy was my literal name. And, the same issues that you've had with eating and binge eating, I've had all of them same issues, even within the last 10 years. I understand it. Now, it doesn't look like I do now, presently, but I do understand them. That's why I'm so passionate about trying to reach other people and create awareness. Not trying to preach. I am trying to reach, but just create awareness. Because understanding what triggers you, why it triggers you, and then ultimately, why did I have 5 pieces of cake? Because it's something psychologically more likely that is making you do that. And so just understanding the whole entire dynamic of, I'm going to eat X and I'm going to feel like Y. And I know what Y feels like, and I know I'm going to feel that way after I eat this, but it's okay. Yeah. I'm good.
One of your podcasts, can't remember which one, was just think healthy. And that's a mindset in itself. I'm a big believer. The book I brought you, Lead the Field, it's all about, attitude, but the gist of it is you become what you think about.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And,
100%.
we all know people who so-and-so did them wrong, and that's all they talk about, and that's all they think about. And there's, like I said, the genes or my family or friends or this, you can control what you can control. But if you think about it, you will take action on it eventually. And the thinking healthy is one of the hardest things. And that's where the discipline over motivation. But if you can maintain, like when you say what your goals are, I write that down. Think healthy. Mm-hmm. I'm not eating donuts anymore. I'm trying the anabolic fasting where I don't eat anything till lunch, and then I do the banana peanut butter spike at night and things. And not every night, but
right.
I like ice cream. I like candy.
So, and it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. It doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody, but it isn't maybe for everybody, but it is for anybody. So try it and see if it works. And if it doesn't, that's okay.
One of the best things, because, everybody's like, oh, you should do this, or you should do that, or you should do this, or the get rich quick, the get thin quick. Chandra, my wife, and I talk about all the time, the best program, and I've heard you say it, is the one you're going to stick with.
1,000%.
It doesn't matter what it is.
The best diet's the one that you'll do consistently, because I have seen a perfect plan, and I don't believe in perfect plans, but a very high level plan that was inconsistently followed and failed miserably.
Yeah.
I've also seen some pretty shitty plans that were done consistently and had a very high success rate. The consistency in what you do every day is more like of a factor for the outcome than the plan itself.
Yeah.
And it's not going all in and thinking it's going to work when you're all in. It's knowing that I'm all in today and tomorrow for the long term.
Yeah.
But me all in today is doing the smallest amount for the biggest amount of change. Because eventually, if you go all in today and you cut your calories and you're working out 6 days a week, then what's next?
Yeah.
Like you have to start from a foundational standpoint to grow. Because if you start all in, eventually your body can't cut more calories.
Yeah.
And you can't lift more, you can't expend any more energy, so you have nowhere to go.
Yep.
And that's when cortisol spikes, energy depletes, your hormones become dysfunctional, and you break down. And I can attest to that because that's what I did when I was a kid. Well, I was early 20s.
Yeah.
I went through all that. You have to start with the habit, creating the change, and facing what the reality is. And you talked about so many things, but positivity, it's not rainbows, unicorns.
Yeah.
Positivity is a core value at our pipeline. We have a can-do attitude to resolve issues. It's a mindset. It's a lifestyle. If you can be in a bad mood for no reason, you can be in a good mood for no reason, right?
Love it.
And Henry Ford had a quote, and he said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yep.
So what you consume, what you talk about, what you think about is all going to be a driving force to what you do as far as action goes. And you were faced with this massive thing because you probably seen, okay, I'm over 300 pounds, and you knew that it was easy, probably fairly easy in a short time frame to get that weight put on, right?
Product of your environment. My grandma, my mom, growing up, on a farm. Hey, are you hungry? Have you eaten in the last 30
Grandma's
seconds?
cooking.
What do
It's
you need?
amazing.
Yeah. It's, but no, it's product of your environment. You only know what you know. Being able to get out and like I said, the reach that you have is huge. The going all in thing, I mentioned Chandra, my wife, you said I was a college athlete. She was a Division I All-American. She ran track for High State for about 100. And her mindset is like, hey, like I said, doing the workout, but getting tired and only doing 6 squats instead of 10. She's like, why are we doing this if you're not going to do 11? And she could be on her deathbed, and if it's her day to run, she's going to go run. Like, she's just crazily stubborn on just the discipline. Mm-hmm. And that's helped me through some of the times I don't want to. On the weekends, she's like, let's just go for a run.
I get to do this. Think about it.
Yeah.
So many people are not physically capable, whether from a genetic component, whether injuries or life, wheelchair, handicap situations, whatever it is. We get to go do this.
Yeah.
In the present moment today, I get to wake up at 3 a.m. That frames everything.
Yeah.
Like I get to go work out with a bunch of savage people in a great environment. And by 5 o'clock in the morning, I've done knocked out a pump 30 workout. I've been up for 2 hours. I'm starting personal development. My day is already won, and it's not even 5 o'clock in the morning yet.
Done more than
right?
90% of the world.
By 7 a.m., I have applied 3 hours of effort to physical, mental, like growth.
Yeah.
I've already established my day. My criteria for the day is laid out. I'm in my business setting normally by then. Dude, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen overnight. And that the longevity component is what is most important. You know, going all in and trying to change the world today is useless, but trying to change the world in a decade is okay.
Yeah.
Because if you put it in that framework, then you know that I'm going to work today and chip away at this thing to get to the ultimate goal.
Yeah. I read something the other day where to that, you know, what you do today, you're either going to be, I think it might have been James Clear, shout out class of 2008, Denison, who wrote Atomic Habits, maybe his newsletter. What you do today, you're either going to be paying for in 10 years or it's going to be paying you in 10 years. And that's kind of like the health and the wealth that I'm passionate about, working at a bank and just wherever you are on your journey. I think that's what's so cool about you is it doesn't matter where you are in your journey. You could be 400 pounds in the worst shape in your financial journey. You could be in total utter despair with no money, or you could be in the 4 a.m. club with an 8-pack and benching 490 pounds, or be a millionaire. How do you get to the next notch along your journey, on your path, and how do we help improve that, whatever that looks like for you? And that's what's kind of been ingrained in me, you know, from the leadership at the bank. And I've been so blessed to try to live that with people. And you're not going to help everybody, but the mindset. I always say you can choose your attitude. And when I teach some classes at the bank, I tell my wife that you can choose your attitude. A lot of times she says she chooses to be pissed off when I say that, but I'm a big believer, and your worst day perspective has been huge for me. Because you shared the story. Your brother-in-law passed away. I had a brother-in-law pass away in a farm accident. The same year I graduated from Denison, the same year I was trying to get a job, the same year I got married, the same year I lost my grandma, who I was really close with, and my nephew's 16 now. And it was just kind of like crazy, really affected me in some ways that I didn't handle the best, that I had no idea, wasn't prepared for at that time. But when I heard you tell that story, I think of that now. And, it's just like, oh my gosh, how is today a bad day because I got cut off or I'm 2 minutes late or something happened, or, I got in a fight with one of the kids or they didn't have their jersey or their cleats. And when I compare that to my worst day, are you kidding me, man? Yeah. It's like, this is the greatest day ever. I get to. It goes back to I get to. And just remember how like blessed you are. The mindset and the positivity is huge.
Well, I think we all lose track of the present moment. It's very easy. I mean, we are in an instant gratification times a million society.
Yeah.
Everything is instant. I don't need to go to the store with a quarter to get the local newspaper like I did 30 years ago. I can get any information I want within 5 seconds.
Yeah.
AI can write me a paper that used to take 5 hours, can be done in 5 seconds, right?
Crazy.
Everything that we do now is accelerated as far as getting access to information.
Instant gratification.
It's instant.
Yeah.
And so I think the one thing that weightlifting and training and overcoming the physical obstacles that I did has taught me more than anything is knowing that it's going to take time to get things that are worth it. Things that have value and are worthy to you are not going to be quick. They're going to take a lot of time. And entrepreneurship is kind of that way. There's a known cost. There's a known output. There's a known effort that's going to be established to even get in the ballpark of what you want with an unknown outcome. You don't know that it's going to actually work.
Yeah.
But that's what the fun part is about life. And like, it's enjoying the journey and not having destination disease where you don't get so fixed on this goal being obtained that you don't enjoy the day to day.
Yeah.
Because, dude, Brian, being present in the present moment, it's a gift. Right now, this moment today, at this second, right now is a gift.
Yep.
Having you on the show is an absolute gift. It's a present. So you think about Christmas trees and gifts and presents. Well, think about how they talk about a gift being a present. Well, a gift or the present moment is a gift. Look at it from that light too. Like this is an absolute blessing to be here today, to have you on the show. And we all die twice. This is something that from day one of the show, it's something that I could not, once I heard this, I couldn't let it go. It's part of the spark behind the whole entire show to begin with. You die twice. One time when you're buried in the ground. The second time is the last day that somebody says your name. And so my grandpa, 84 years old, my rock, my foundation, and he has been the real mentor of mine throughout my whole life. And as I got older, I was able to tie a lot together that I didn't really understand as a kid. I got to interview him first. It's not ever been released to the public, but he was my first interview. And he has so many epic stories and things that he did through the church, through the community, through being self-employed for 30 plus years. Yeah. And I just thought, I have to get him on camera, and I don't ever want his story to die.
Yeah.
And this part, like of my journey, it's a documentation of my life.
Yeah.
And I just want to document not so much my experiences in my life, everybody else's. I want everyone that I think has a great story to tell and a good message to deliver to come on and share it.
Yeah.
Well, and so like, I'm grateful that you're here today.
I appreciate it. No, I'm grateful to be here. Like I said, I'm trying to share your story. I'm coaching third, fourth grade football right now. And I say things like, win, learn, never lose. I say things like, if you can have a bad day for no reason, you can have a good. I say a lot of things. I say like, you're never going to get a girlfriend tackling like that, or hitting like that.
You got to talk
like
a little shit
so,
too, right?
all the time.
I love it. I know you're going to throw in some dimes there.
Oh man, they don't know what to do with me, but I absolutely love it. So
it's interesting. The last couple of days, I've had to do this with my daughter, where she would be running through the house and slip and fall over like a baby doll or something.
Yeah.
Well, she made me fall because that was there and this and that. Like, and I had to explain to her last night, maybe before she went to school today. I don't know, but life is a mirror, not a window. And when you think about that statement, it's very powerful when you break it down. So where you're at today is a reflection of the mirror. It is purely a reflection of the mirror. If you're looking out a window all the time in your life, you're just looking for an external thing to either give you satisfaction or validation for where you're at, or blame the outside world for your current state. But reality is very simple. We cannot look through a window and say that's the reason where we're at today. We can only look in the mirror, whether good or bad. And when we understand that, we know everything that we have, everything that we have had happen to us, where we're at today, it's on us. It's on us.
Yeah, that's taking ownership.
And it just creates
kind of like the discipline. It's hard. It's hard. It's a lot easier to look out the window.
It is.
And blame.
It is until it's not.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that's what I think the missing
illness or
component
wellness. Yeah. Yeah.
Wellness or illness. And wellness is a conscious effort to get better. Illness is an unconscious choice that ends up leading to your, sometimes people cannot come back from it.
Yeah.
And because of the ones, like, I'm proud of you just because you faced it, embraced it, and now you're doing something about it. And now you're talking about it to others. Now you're trying to help other people out.
Well, yeah, like I said, health and wealth. You'd mentioned delayed gratification. Those are the two biggest. I've been hitting it hard and working out for months now, and I still don't have it. I got ways to go. And I keep thinking of you saying it takes years. It took me years to get here. It takes me decades, and it's going to take you back. But you guys, maybe it was Corey was on here talking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Then I started listening to that one, led me on to The Richest Man in Babylon, which led me on to the compound effect, the habit stuff. And then I was like, well, why aren't I throwing $25 a month into an investment account? Why aren't I doing $50 a month into this? So I took action, and like, it's only been 3-4 months, but that $50 a month, $100 a month adds up. And what are we going to do with it?
Right.
Buy something stupid that we don't need.
Spend at the gas station, doing donuts,
or
right?
Amazon. Yeah. I mean, like, how many boxes? Which, I mean, all that stuff's fun too, and you want to be able to live your life. But my goodness, to have options in 10 years versus not is what we're doing today.
Compound interest is something that you probably know better than most, but compound effect is very similar. It's just that little deposit every day that you won't see that return directly, but indirectly down the road, you look back 6 months from now.
Yep.
Holy shit, Brian, I'm not the same person. My bank account's growing. compound interest is adding up, and then eventually 5 years, 10 years. And then the return comes back so much more.
Yeah.
And I think that directly ties to me into career path. Where you start and where you end are purely determined by the action and effort that you have.
Yep.
So I call it persistent patience is my life motto. Max effort with good intention is persistent patience. I am persistent in my pursuit. I'm relentless. I'm a dog. You are going to have to kill me to stop me.
Yeah.
But I am patient with the outcome because I understand that the outcome will come when it's meant to. And if I push too hard, I can push over that 100% threshold and then have the outcome happen, but it might not be the one I want.
Sure, yeah.
So it's not that I'm patient with not taking action. I am matured enough now to know that I have to be patient in my pursuit. As persistent as I can be, I have to understand the timeline and the result. Just knowing that it's going to take time, though, and knowing that a lot of these things that we desire to have, we are not directly in control of the timeline.
Yeah.
We set a timeline on things as a goal for a parameter to accomplish it, a timetable, but whether or not it happens, is it the ultimate failure if it doesn't happen on your time frame, or is it an opportunity to learn why it didn't happen and then continue to push forward to achieve the thing that you want?
Yep.
And it is about mindset, back to that. But
I think it's all about mindset.
Whenever you start a career, majority of people have no idea what it takes to accomplish anything. Myself included, when I started, I didn't know. 12 years for one goal for me to buy the company, and it was accomplished. I had 30 years of work packed into 12, essentially. To get to the point that I wanted to be at, I had to be 7 days a week for so long that nothing else mattered. And
can we talk about that as a banker? You buying a company with $37,000 worth of net worth.
Art of the deal, baby.
It should not be. That
It's
should
not
not happen.
feasible,
People.
I understand.
It should not.
Art of the deal. I don't know how else to say it outside of strategic, very good legal counsel.
That's great.
And people that knew how to navigate deals for the 0.1%.
Yeah.
Because you're right, I should not have been able to.
Yeah. I mean,
Me
that's,
and Cody
I
did
hear
not
that
have
story.
a-
I know the story. I know Cody, another, great guy. You guys are just, sky's the limit, but man, just how you got there. Then I keep hearing about like that, like you said, enjoy the journey and things like that.
Well,
But,
and that's the thing, I didn't. That's what's so heartbreaking for me now, looking back. Now I can share the story and help other people, hopefully, but 12 years, I didn't enjoy any of it. I did not, because I was so fixed on the destination.
it kind of goes to your career pathing. One of the things that, like I said, there's the few that hopefully I mentioned, and I probably forgot one or two, but I take notes on the episodes that I kind of take away from. And a lot of times I lift or do something while I'm listening, so I don't catch everything. But you mentioned in one episode, provide value to others without expecting anything in return.
Provide value with no expectation of return.
So that right there, I think, is the biggest. So that is, once again, preached to me at my company. I'm so lucky. And that's really what I do, whether it's in community, with customers, with prospects. Hey, should I refinance my house? Well, no. Let's run the numbers. How long are you going to be there? It probably makes sense just to stay where you're at. It doesn't make the bank any money. Doesn't But if it helps that person in the long term,
indirectly, it's all going to come back to you.
It's just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And been blessed, to be incentivized to do the right thing and not just try to, sign here and get a quick buck, which, has led to all kinds of stuff and could happen and hopefully doesn't happen. But that's kind of, you didn't do that. You probably didn't do that. You were so stubborn and hell bent on, I'm going to buy this company, which is an amazing feat in itself.
Yeah.
But it's one thing to provide value to you, yourself. And that's what I think, like the wealth and the health, and that's hard enough for people to do, is just take care of themselves. And that's one of the reasons you're here. But to do that, and that's where your next evolution, you're doing that so many different levels, and this podcast is a huge part of it.
Yeah, being able to reach the masses is what I really want with awareness. And what I have to provide might have no value to anybody. And if it doesn't, that's okay. But knowing that Brian Elder listens and takes notes, and he's sitting here now, and you've changed your life, and you may or may not have pulled from this and been able to use it to help others. it's successful because of that one thing itself. That's, to me, it's successful just for that.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I've been able to, throughout my career, whether I was conscious or not of it, I was always pulling people up as I was climbing up. So I never climbed up a success ladder or anything by myself, because in my mind, subconsciously, I was thinking that I have to replace myself in my current state to get to the next level.
But you were helping them. Yeah.
But I think I just wanted to create a culture of helping other people, because I was going where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And I just want other people to come with me. I'm a partnership person, dude. I like to collaborate. I like to work with other people. I don't like doing everything by myself. I don't want to be that rugged individual where it's all about me. I don't need credit or accolade recognition for anything. I am here to create awareness and provide value for other people. And if it doesn't have either one of them, as far as, if it has no value to someone and it doesn't create any awareness, okay, that's fine. It's still a win for me because it has certain people.
Yeah.
And just helping one person has made this a success. And I've been fortunate enough to probably help 50 or 100. I don't know how many. It's been quite a bit.
I bet it's more than you think.
It is probably much
More
more
than you
than I
know.
think.
Yeah.
And I think the one fulfilling thing for me was understanding my intent with my effort. But it's been a natural thing for me coming up through the ranks through the years. And I didn't know it until this was all public, where I publicly talk about these circumstances in life and talk about these situations and my perspective on them. And then I get random messages all the time now, like, hey, man, you don't remember this, but in 2009, we were in this ditch in this place, in the middle of winter, and you shine light on this situation that helped me at a time you have no idea. And so it gives me ultimate gratitude for my adversity and my learning lessons in life. But now it just inspires me more to continue to do what I'm doing and hoping to help other people.
Yeah.
Like, ultimately, that's what it's about. And I don't expect anything to come back. And the side effect of my good intent has been the fulfillment I've been able to get from being able to help other people.
Yep.
And I truly believe, Brian, that you don't know what it's like to live until you help someone that can never repay you. And so there's some people in the community that will never be able to repay us, that have had a, genetic setback, that have not had a normal livelihood, that have had things that hindered them from even having any chance at a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
And Cody and I personally went and helped out some people in the community. And I have never felt so good to be able to go do that. I know that moment changed that person's life. And that person could never repay me. And I think that's what changed my life. Because I think I walked away probably more grateful in that moment, in certain moments of that nature, where I had an impact on someone that can't repay me at all.
Yep.
And I absolutely felt nothing but joy because of that. Talk about your community impact. I mean, that's probably what drives you.
Yeah. So that's just a huge blessing to be able to serve the community pretty much every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I kind of look at, what I get to do. But to your point, I mean, that's awesome. Hoping it drives you to do more. I'm a big believer in the more you give, the more you get back.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't realize that till after, years of trying to give.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I've been blessed to be able, at the bank, it's kind of expected to help out the community. People do it at different various levels, but I was in Pataskla for 9 years. So, being a part of the chamber and the Rotary and boards and president and the library board. And now I'm just kind of all over. Always been able to help out with United Way. And there's just so many great organizations. My favorite, near and dear to my heart, is probably the time I spent at the Special Olympics, West Licking Warrior Special Olympics. You mentioned people who not necessarily gave had an opportunity to have what we'd consider a normal life. I think one of the biggest times in my life, I think adversity wise, or let's say thought, I was at Denison. I was 19. I think I got a fight with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. My dad probably yelled at me on the farm. My coach yelled at me at practice. I probably got a C on the test. I thought my world was ending, And coach was like, "Hey, we're going out and helping out. We got this thing after practice." And I was like, "Well, I don't feel like it. I don't have time." And all the typical ignorant excuses that you might have. And we got to Pataskala Elementary, where I went to school at Watkins Memorial, and from that area. And here we are. I thought my world was tough. I thought my world was in shambles from all the just basically annoyances that I had. Like you said, mindset you get to versus have to. And I walk into a gym full of 30 male, female, different ages, 8 to 50 some years old, and they're shooting hoops, and doesn't matter what happened, these people are just loving it, smiling, laughing, making shots, missing shots. And our basketball team at Denison went out to help, and I just fell in love. I was rebounding and passing and talking to them, and it led to kind of just staying on and coaching. I coached for a year. Chandra, I joke, was the team hugger. All the guys wanted to give her a hug multiple times every practice and night, but it was awesome. And we still have connections, relationships. You mentioned life's about relationships, and you've helped me with this podcast to get back with Corey, Dustin, some other folks I just met, the crew over here, and that's what it's about. But yeah, just finding time to raise money, donate money, donate your time, your talents, and your treasures back to something. It could just be your daughter's organizations. What's important to them. I think I'm the president here for the rest of the year of the Northridge Youth Athletic Association, and I don't know what I do but I'm there representing, and I tell myself it's hopefully for the kids and make it better and not worse.
Authenticity is rare to find when someone truly is their self. You have not been anybody but the true Brian Elder, from what I know from day one. And so many people strive to be somebody they're not. And I strive just to be me, all the way me, right?
Yeah.
It's weird for me whenever I see someone that's just not them. And I talk about individual success. What we want out of life is what we want, and it's okay. There should be no apology if Mrs. Jones down the street has this mega mansion and you don't desire to have that. Comparison is the theft of joy. Looking at not only what someone else has that you desire to have, but looking at what you don't have. You have what you have, and what you have earned in life is what you deserve to have. And back to the mirror in the window. If you're not where you want to be, it is directly because of the mirror. So quit looking out the window.
Yeah.
And the only way that you're going to accomplish the things that you desire to have are to understand how to get there to some capacity. You don't have to get the whole plan, but if you're not where you want to be, you have to break down the reality. I'm working on a project, Iron Built Blueprint. It's probably going to be a book, but the base of it is break down your reality, bridge away from that place. So you want to make a change, but you don't know where to go. Break down all the pain points in life, the setbacks, the adversity, the fear. Write it all down. Write them all down on paper, and then focus on only the ones that you can't control. Anything out of your control, mark out. Take the top 3 that are within your control. Start with number 1 instead of planning out to overcome that by building a bridge away from that place. So what's the thing setting you back? Is it your environment? Is it your habits? Whatever it is, you have to start breaking it down. Focus on one thing and build a bridge away, just like what you just did.
You're going to like that book I gave you.
I can't wait.
One of the chapters is literally about a company, a consultant that came in, and he said, you have 7 minutes. And he said, I don't have time to get a consultant, but write down the top 10 things you need to do today. And then he wrote down 10 things that prioritize their top 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. Take number 1. Don't do anything else until you get number 1 done. And then send me a check for what you think. And this would have been, 50s, 60s, but they did it. The company soared.
I can't wait to read it now.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the middle of the book, but it just, as soon as you said that, reminded me of it. Yeah. So, that was really the start of my positivity mindset of if these folks in the Special Olympics can have a great day, who knows what they went through that day, what they had to do some of them just to get dressed. Some of them,
what their life has been like.
I mean, before that, and then I'm sitting there crying about a bad, coach yelling at me because I was probably jacking around or doing something I shouldn't have been. I can guarantee you that. that was the mindset. But then I think, come full circle, nobody's perfect, but the discipline, it kind of goes into like banking and lending with credit score. Credit score is like your character. It's really just doing what you say you're going to do. And early on, been married for going on 17 years, definitely not perfect, far from perfect, but much better than early on when I was just immature and didn't know exactly, the prize, that I have and the blessings that I had with kids and everything else. And it's just like, man, all you have to do is do what you say you're going to do. If you can't do it, just tell them that too. Sometimes no, in banking, if you come to me to get a loan, the worst thing I can do is drag it out for 4 weeks. I want to run with a no and walk with a yes, but let you know within 2 days.
Saying no is a complete sentence.
Yep.
And saying no to opportunity, for example, the more you do, the more you accomplish, the more opportunity.
Yeah.
The Matrix, the woman in the red dress. Every time that woman in the red dress is going to come via opportunity, it's going to look a little bit better. It's going to look a little more appealing. You're going to be more drawn to it. And sometimes it's really hard to say no to certain things. Like sometimes with every being in your willpower is yes. But does it fit your priority?
Yeah.
Priority awareness has been a theme of mine for the first and second quarter of this year. I have priorities set. If it doesn't directly align to the acceleration of them priorities, doesn't fit.
I'd like to know more about that, because that's the one thing, especially early on in marriage and stuff. It was, hey, you want to join this board, join this committee, you want to go to this event. There's so many great community organizations. You could go to a breakfast, lunch, and dinner every time. But I kept telling myself and writing down, be with my family, spend time with my family. Well, every time I did something, it took away time from my family.
Yep.
And it was like, what am I doing?
I've had to look in the mirror so many times and say, ultimately, I'm doing this for my family, to support them, to provide for them. But the thing that I'm doing is taken away from my family. So is that really my intent? Now, there's time periods where, look, dude, I own a business. You understand this. You understand what it looks like. There's times where I have to put in this effort.
Yeah.
Same as you, where this thing has to get accomplished in a short time frame, but you understand it normally, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There are times where we have to sacrifice our immediate time for the circumstance.
Yep.
But if we are hiding behind our reality with the commitment factor and we take on these opportunities, we have to understand what it does to us.
Oh, yeah. I would wait till 2 days before I've got to go do this thing in the evening because I was scared to have that conversation. Now it's like, hey, September 18th, we have a home buying seminar in Columbus I have to be at, and hopefully I'll be home by 8. And do I need to get someone, a family member or a teammate to get a ride to practice? Because I know you're going to be running 3 different ways. And I'll try to make it up to you, things like that. So
that is the best thing you can do. Is I'm already maxed out on my time that's allocated. I have no room left for any extra activities, so I can't do it. And then offer something as a good gesture.
Yep.
Because it's not that you have bad intent. It just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
It's okay though. It's not a personal thing. It just does not fit. That's okay.
Yeah. One of my goals is to take Chandler out on a date every week. And some of these football, game on Sunday, game on Tuesday, game on Friday, game on Saturday, stuff on Saturday night, practice every other night. Yeah. It's like, we don't really, go out on a date at 10 o'clock at night, but on the time seasons in the year that we can, let's make that 2 or 3.
And it's just like anything else. You committed to this journey to be better physically and mentally for yourself. You commit time, like in that example, to your wife on this day at this time. It doesn't matter what comes to you as opportunity. It doesn't fit that time.
Yep.
It's just a commitment. And I've also seen it with others and then seen it in myself in some capacity where I didn't understand the true commitment of what I signed up for. And that ended up being detrimental to my schedule.
Yep.
And so now I fully have to be aware of the commitment and time and the impact to what matters. The priority awareness, man. Understanding that, saying no is a complete sentence. It's not that you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It's not a personal thing. It's not, oh, hell no, I never want to do that. No, maybe later, just not right now.
Sure.
The time frame might not fit. There's no personal grudge to be held or reason why, though. That should be a breaking thing. You said something very important. If finish what you start. If you start
do
something,
what you say you're going to do.
finish it. Do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
Show up on time, right?
That's all a credit score is. If you sign something you're going to pay it back on time.
If you commit to it, do it.
Yeah. And that's
Or
the
don't
biggest
commit.
growth, I think, maturity that because like you said, you get that imposter syndrome. You want to say yes to everything, and it really leads down a path that's hard to recover from.
And I think just saying please and thank you, like having good gestures, them 4 things are huge and as basic as it gets. Back to the compound effect, though. New information isn't normally needed for the thing that's holding us back. All the information in the world is out there that can normally solve any issue we have. Applying it is one thing. Finding it and learning about it's another. Personal development is something I talk to about at nausea, and I do because I'm uneducated. By any academia standard, I am uneducated. I've probably read 1,000 books in the last few, 5 or 6 years. But I'm uneducated, from a resume standpoint. The only thing that would say that I have any educational ability whatsoever is I own a few businesses. But education is interesting in itself. Personal development is education to me. And self-development, self-education is probably the biggest separator from being where you are and not being where you want to be at. And knowing that everything that we face, there's information out there probably available to get us through this obstacle. Personal development to you, Brian, what does it look like? How do you sit down and read books? What's personal development like for you?
Yeah. So, once again, it kind of started through encouragement from leadership at the bank. You mentioned David Troutman. When I started the bank, here's a reading list. And I was like, oh, I'm going to just start reading. And I hated reading in college, and I did everything I needed to get by, just like the lifting. I was like, let's just get it done. And just, there was no engagement, truly valuable learning there. It was like, let's check the box and move on. So I started reading, really got away with it with kids and away from it. Kids get older. There's a million podcasts. I don't know a lot of them. I started listening to a few, different vacation places where to go, and then some personal development. John Gordon, I kind of led, like I said, then I found yours. And that led to audiobooks. Also, I had Spotify, but shout out, I'm on the board of the library, Libby. There's a Libby app. If you have a library card in Central Ohio, you get all kinds of free downloads.
Oh, really?
And audiobooks. So now David Troutman has an updated reading list, and I have just a huge list of audiobooks I'm listening to. I got some.
Shout out Dave Troutman.
That's right. I got some from you.
I need to get in the club then. I need that reading
I'll
list.
send you the list.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got it in my car. I'll share it with you, or I can email it to you. I'm listening to A Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela right now. It's like 28 hours. So far, it's interesting. It's it's one of those
hard to stay engaged.
It's long. Not yet. It's good. It's good. Some really good ones. Some and then Corey G Fitness app. He has a list of books. I started putting those on hold. Literally, as I'm out here waiting on you, Arnold Schwarzenegger's book comes up, so I borrowed that. So that's going to be my next one.
I have an entire list. We'll swap
yeah,
lists.
I would love to. And like you said, if I'm driving around Columbus, if I'm driving an hour or two a day between meetings, between locations, working out in the morning on the treadmill, you can fly through them. And I really hope I try to capture something from each book. I listened to Nelson Mandela, waiting on this one, Letters from Prison, and that's a brutal read. That's like 20 hours of just someone reading his letters from like decades in prison, but it inspired me to write letters to my wife and kids. I'm always trying to write handwritten notes.
Dude, that's so awesome.
To customers and prospects, and just trying to touch base with somebody. But I got to thinking, why don't I do that to my family? Because this is somebody who couldn't see his family when he wanted to try to make the whole country better, and oppression and prejudice and things like that.
Yeah.
So
Corey said something to me a few years ago that just changed my perspective on content. This is not me. This is not somebody that I ever thought would be. To say that I have a podcast, writing a couple books, or have books in the framework to be done, being in front of a camera, laughable.
I remember you say that. Yeah,
Dude, laughable. So Corey said something a few years ago. He's like, Jake, it's not about you. It's about how you can help other people if you have value. And he's like, document your life.
Yeah.
Social media is nothing more than a documentation of your life. If you have an epic life, or if you don't have an epic life, just document it. It don't matter because it's epic to you because it's yours.
Yep.
And as he like talked about that, and then a couple of years of just chirping at me and talking about, dude, just do it because one day your family's gonna be able to see it. And I thought back to my mom when I was a kid. I have all these videos on VHS. They were on VHS tapes.
Yeah.
My mom would carry around this huge camcorder, like
awesome.
VHS, like a big old boom box.
Yeah.
And there's all these different videos of me operating equipment when I was 5 years old and like very young. Now I can reflect on them and be like, man, I am so grateful that she had that big camera out in front of me and my face and then that all the time. And I was always annoyed by it. Like, thank you, Mom, for that because that is forever something that I can look at and reflect on. And just like the handwritten letters, just like the podcast. Yep. Me and my daughter did a podcast, the spooky podcast, I think on Monday, for like 30 minutes about just being spooky and goofy. I interviewed her before she started first grade, before she started kindergarten.
Yeah.
So every year before school, I'm going to put a documentary together, have a 20 to 30 minute goofball podcast. When she graduates high school, she will have 18 years or however many, 15 years, whatever it is, of memories to look at. And she's wearing the same shirt, the class of 2036 in kindergarten, and she can wear it when she graduates. So, like, it's just documenting our life. Because what is inevitable in everybody's life is it's not going to last forever. It is going to end. The moments today, right now, the present moment is a gift, but it will not last forever. Our friendship will not last forever. We will both die one day. The gym, the 4 a.m. crew, you waking up early, grinding, we will not have that opportunity one day. So we got to enjoy it while we do. Yeah. Because we take things for granted so quickly, so easily. But one day they're not going to be there. And you'll wish that you could take it for granted. Yep. And understanding that is extremely powerful. But just documenting your life, tell your story. Everybody's story is epic. John Gordon, the Energy Bus, one of my probably top 5 go-tos when starting personal development. Yep. It's all about positivity. And that book I've recommended to a handful of people. And one person in particular, the most negative outlook on life. His perspective on life, he told me this to my face. If there was a pot of gold at the end of my driveway when I got home on Friday afternoon, I would be livid that I had to get out of my truck and move it to go to my garage to drink a beer that night. That's literally his outlook. Amazing. That book helped change his perspective on life completely. It also helped change his son's perspective. Yeah. And so knowing that, man, this is short time that we have on earth. It really is. We have to make the best of it, but we can't make the best of it if we have a bad attitude. Yeah. And it all goes back to that positivity. That attitude ultimately drives the outcome.
And it goes back to discipline over motivation. The getting up early is, so I preach, I work with a team of home lenders, and I preach every morning from 9 to 10, 10 to 11, whatever works for you. Make your outbound sales calls non-negotiable, non-emotional. Just make it a habit.
It's just what it's part of you.
The good ones do. So when I kind of heard you say, take the emotion out of it, because like I said, I'm coughing, my ear hurts, my eye hurts, my head hurts, my leg hurts. I don't want to get it. No one wants to get it, especially at 3 a.m., let alone at, 5. I mean, whatever it is, just if it's not emotional, it's not non-emotional, non-negotiable, you're just going to go do it.
It's just, I don't even recognize it anymore. It's actually kind of comical because I'm driving to the gym the other day and I'm borderline delusional because I hadn't slept. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, if a cop was behind me, he'd probably think I'm drunk right now. Like, cause I probably shouldn't have been driving. Like, one eye barely open, like I hadn't even got all the crusties out of it yet. And it's like, oh, this is dumb. I haven't had that moment where I actually realized how dumb it was for a while. Yeah. I'm like, this is bad. Yeah. But I don't even recognize it. It's just me.
You got to wash your face.
It's part of my every day.
Wash your face, man.
Normally I do with the cold water. Like I get up, I crawl to the bathroom, there's cold water splashing. Because guess what, Brian? It doesn't matter how I feel. Yeah. If I did it only when I felt good, I wouldn't do it at all.
Yeah, exactly. And
I feel bad 90% of the time.
like I said, your discipline over motivation, that like those things, and then everything compounds. And if you have that mindset, and that's the 80-20. Pareto's, the 80% of the salespeople in this world are going to do 20%, or 20% of the salespeople are going to do 80% of the business. Because guess what? Not emotional, not negotiable. They're making their calls every day. All the market stuff, the rates are different. The weather's out, it's bad outside.
And so what?
It is for everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
So what?
Yeah.
Everybody has a choice to make when they're set up with certain things in life. There is bias in life, right? There is racism, there is sexism, there is a lot of bad people in the world. And if you had that early setback, that early bias, or that early discrimination, and that is the reason why you're not successful, coming from a white male, I would say this, or I would say, so what? Is that ultimately going to be the reason why you don't do the things that you want? And I say that with good intent behind it, because it is true. A lot of people have setbacks that are out of their control. So what? Because if you can overcome that setback and accomplish what you want out of life, think about the impact and how epic your story is going to be, and the amount of people that you can help change that had that similar circumstance. You look at all of the pioneers, Nelson Mandela, like all the pioneers, Martin Luther King, all these people who had the willingness to sacrifice for the greater good.
Yep.
They did not allow how they felt to determine the outcome, because they were convicted to make change. Mm-hmm. And they were willing to make change and did. And that's what's so great about this world, is anybody can create change and overcome adversity. And because of that, can help the masses in a similar circumstance change their life. But you have to be willing to embrace that mirror.
Yeah.
And look in the mirror and not the window.
And just mindset. Just anytime you say I can't, just add the word yet. I can't work out every morning yet. I can't get the six pack yet. Like, just I can't save money yet.
But what can I do to eventually do it? Or I will do this so I can.
Yeah.
And it's just speak about it in a way that you know it's possible. It's not impossible unless physics tells you it's impossible. It's not.
Sure.
So like the 4-minute mile, when that barrier was broke, it was deemed impossible.
Roger Bannister, unbelievable.
Until it was done, right? But then what happened directly after that?
20
10,
people. Yeah. Yep.
The acceleration of that being broke was fast because it was
possibilities of mindset. Yeah.
Because it was possible. It's when something's never been done before and someone is convicted enough to do it and then does it. It's breaking the mold. You can't break through barriers if you don't break the mold. Yep. And you just have to break the mold to break through barriers.
Great book, Unbroken, the story of Louis Zamperini. It's turned into a movie. Amazing. Young man moved from New York to California, started running, was smoking cigarettes and drinking wine at like age 5, and got into high school track.
The epic diet.
USC, became an Olympian, went to Berlin, enlisted in the Army, World War II, got caught, POW, was in a boat with sharks for like 60 days. You want to talk about the power of mindset and toughness? That you would love that one.
And I'm going to butcher this, but it's something similar in regard to that. It was a prisoner of war that was there for so many years, and every single day he envisioned playing 18 holes of golf at a specific golf course. And he was one of the only people that survived the camp. And he ended up playing 18 holes of golf on that course.
Was that the Jim Collins Good to Great intro?
It might be.
Someone he quit counting the days.
Yeah.
Everyone else was counting the days.
It might be Good to Great because that's one of my favorite books. Yep. And so, like,
I need to get the back of that one. I need to add that one to my list.
So good.
Yeah.
And that book's from early 2000s, just like 2002.
I read it back
but
then.
It's so good, and it just tells you exactly that. There was no logical reason why R&R Pipeline could have been purchased by me and Cody.
It's amazing.
Zero logic. There was probably 15 banks that pretty much spit in our face and said this is not feasible or possible. It took one, and it happened. Anything is possible.
Yep.
The art of the deal, how you get there, the thing that determines whether it's possible or not is your belief system. Because so many people think they believe until it gets really, really hard, really dark. Your back's up against the wall. 12th round of the boxing match, 30 seconds left. You've lost every round of that, and you got a choice to make. Do I give in and give up, or do I fight and try and go for the knockout? You have a choice to make. A lot of people don't make the tough one.
Yeah.
But normally, the tough road is the road that has the most worthiness to it and the most success, or what you want is normally on that hard path. That's what makes life beautiful, though. The joy of the journey, right?
Yeah.
And for you, I'm just proud as shit of you. Like the way that you came in and just acknowledged where you were at, the change that was made, because that lonely road is the hard one. You did it when no one else was watching. You did it when you're tired and cold and sweaty and bloody, beat up, didn't want to, and you did it anyways. And now you change your life forever. And you'll be amazed at what you see probably in the next 6 months to a year of the people around you that knew the old Brian and now see the new Brian. Watch how many people you'll be able to impact. It's a side effect of it that you would have never anticipated. When you do something in the dark, day after day after day, it eventually comes to the light. If you want to be a motivational speaker, professional athlete, you want to be in an arena full of fans, stands, whatever, you have to do what needs to be done to get there when there's no audience. And that's what you did. And now you can display it, not in an arrogant way, in a way to help other people. And that's what real change is all about.
Yep, doesn't mean anything if I don't keep going. I'm trying to look like you, the pretty boy pipeliner.
You better grow some hair out.
I know. I need a hair transplant. So.
And it's all about just you accomplishing the thing that makes you feel good and look good for your own, personal self. Now, how can I help transform other people if they want to?
Yeah.
You can't force it on anybody, but when someone really wants to change, when someone comes to me asking questions and I know they're curious, but I know that they have to make change, it's profound for me to go out of my way to help them. I refuse not to help them, but it's in a subtle way, because I can be extremely overbearing with information and wear people out very quick.
Sure.
And that's why
It's like you said, diving all in is not going to work.
It's not going to work. Start small. Start with the thing you can do to create the most amount of change with the least amount of effort.
The one episode you and Corey were talking, I've got a lender that's like, he's been wanting to lose weight for a year, but every time I see him, he's drinking a Tall Boy Monster Energy drink. I said, hey, I'm not trying to take anything away from you, but I want you to drink a bottle of water.
Hold your jug up.
I want you to drink a
that's
bottle
it.
of water after every single one. And then next month before, and I check in with him. He says he is, but I don't, we'll see.
So I did the same thing. Diet Dr. Pepper person told me, I've tried a million times, I can't quit. It's like, you don't have to quit. I'm like, well, I need to. Okay. But I'm not telling you to quit. I'm just telling you to drink a bottle of water for every Diet Dr. Pepper. And you know what happens? If they actually commit to it, they start feeling better. So they feel better because they're drinking water and they're getting hydrated. They feel
like they don't need the pop
anymore. They don't need the pop anymore, because then when they drink the pop, they actually understand what it's doing because they're getting hydration. It's establishing a habit.
You can ask Chandler. I probably was addicted to Mountain Dew. Like I didn't want a day to go by. Like we're on a road trip, or let's stop at a gas station, and now I drink. I'm like, oh, this is it's like nasty.
Like whenever I was early in the field smoking cigarettes, I would chew, and I had a guy Mike Daly from Athens area, a great friend of mine, and he told me one day he had cancer and he had just beat it, and he's seen a lot of people that had cancer due to tobacco. And he just challenged me one day. He's like, man to man, I'm telling you can't quit. It was in 2013, I think, right in that time, because I was cutting for a bodybuilding show. So I'm cutting for the show. I'm doing all this physical activity with this disciplined as hell diet. And the original busy diet, the OG, it's way better now. Don't go back to the other one. Shout out Corey G for the original busy diet. But I had this huge transformation, went from 240 to 197 on stage in 12 weeks. But I was like smoking and chewing when I first started it. And so
what are you doing?
He's like, what are you doing? And he just like belittled me to get me to understand the reality of it. And then he put his hand out. I'll never forget it. In Athens, Ohio, right by the dorms. And I quit cold turkey. Put his hand out and he said, I challenge you man to man. I bet you can't quit. He's like, man to man, look at me and tell me that you're going to quit because I don't think you can. I don't think you're tough enough. And I haven't touched it since. That was 2013.
Awesome. That's great.
And I've done that for a lot of other people where I've incentivized them in the same fashion because, oh yeah, I could quit if I want to. Well,
over a decade. But when you talk about health and wealth, forget about your health of unknown stuff. Your daughters don't ask what's in your mouth. Why do you smell
component.
like that? How much money have you saved?
Oh my gosh!
In 11 plus years.
Yeah.
I don't know how much cigarettes or dip are, but I'm guessing. You're spending $20, $50
a day, right?
Yeah.
A day, $5 to $8 probably a day on. I don't know what they're at now.
You talk about compound effect times that over a month, a year.
Dude, that adds up quick.
Yeah.
And it can
alone, you're probably smoking more on the weekends because you're drinking
and then drinking beer.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be.
I want people to live their life. Yeah.
I enjoy bourbon just like the next person. I have bourbon every once in a while. I smoke cigars every once in a while. For God's sake, look at this environment. How could you not have a smoke in here every once in a while? I'll smoke a cigar every once in a while, but that it's not a habit.
Yep.
But my alarm clock going off at 3 is.
Yeah.
Compound effect goes negative and positive.
Yep.
Look at someone who is in a place of misery. Well, they had the same application to the negativity side that we do to the positive side. Everything that we do in life is about choices and about the effect of them choices. And just like the compound effect of drinking too much Mountain Dew, the compound effect of drinking water on the other side, it's really the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not disciplined enough to do that. Well, actually you are because you have smoked cigarettes every day for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
You know what discipline is. You're just disciplined in the wrong areas.
Yeah.
Everyone has a discipline of some sort. A lot of them are just negative.
Yeah.
So let's try to make it a better place and create awareness for the positive. Brian, I appreciate you coming on today. It's been an absolute honor to have you on.
Thank you, Jake.
I'm proud as hell of you. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Elder, look at this sexy guy. Under 250, try to get under 260 forever. Change his life, and he is going to inspire so many people. I can't wait to watch it happen. Brian, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jake.
This episode is brought to you by Max Effort Muscle. For all your supplement needs, go to maxeffortmuscle.com.